So Felix Cash dismantles Jason Welborn in 5 rounds. Now going into this fight, at least on paper, I thought this was going to be the biggest step up of Felix Cash's career so far. And again, on paper it was, but in reality, Jack Cullen in Felix Cash's previous fight actually put up more stubborn resistance than Jason Welborn did. Now, Jason Welborn, a lot more experienced than Jack Cullen, a lot more proven, been around for longer. So, even though he's coming off 2 losses back to back, I still felt maybe he could rise to the occasion a little bit and give Felix Cash some tough rounds. But aside from the first round and a few moments throughout the fight where he kind of rushed Felix Cash and tried to put him under pressure, Cash was under control throughout. And it turned out to be a more comfortable night for him than the Jack Cullen fight was. So, in the first round, Jason Welborn did land a shot which for a second looked like it might have buzzed Felix Cash. Because I don't know if his leg stiffened for just a moment and he backed up a little bit and he looked slightly unsure of himself before resuming his dominance in the first. As the fight played out, Jason Welborn had a few of his, characteristic rushes where he rushes at opponents and he tries to pin them on the ropes. And these are fairly, formidable attacks that he can sometimes spring on opponents out of the blue. We saw it against Jarrett Hurd when he fought for the world title. He actually had Jarrett Hurd under some pretty tough pressure in the first couple rounds and had Jarrett Hurd looking a bit flustered. So Jason Welborn, when he fights in those intermittent bursts like that, he can give people trouble. And so Felix Cash looked slightly uncomfortable under some of those attacks, and Jason Welborn's corner picked up on it. But to be fair to Felix Cash, he handled it better than Jarrett Hurd did. Although I will say, Jason Welborn was a bit fresher and probably more up for it against Jarrett Hurd a couple years back than he was against Felix Cash here. But nonetheless, those characteristic rushes from Welborn, Felix Cash was able to ride out those storms. And he said in the build-up to this fight that he was going to go to Welborn's body because Welborn is vulnerable to the body. He's been hurt to the body multiple times in his career. That's where he was going to concentrate. And he did have a point deducted for low blows. In fact, there was a moment in the fight where Jason Welborn did have Felix Cash under pressure. And Felix Cash responded with what, at least to me, looked like deliberate low blows. Fighters will do this. When they're under pressure, when they're having trouble, some fighters will resort to dirty tactics, not necessarily to hurt the opponent, although sometimes that's part of it, but to intimidate the opponent. To show the opponent that, hey, you want to take it to the next level, I'll take it to the next level. Do you understand what I'm saying? Keep upping the ante. So some fighters use that as an intimidation tactic. When an opponent has been very aggressive with them in an exchange and maybe they felt a little threatened by the exchange, they'll do something dirty to show them, look, I'm a serious guy. And to me, again, I've only seen the fight once. I saw it live. It looked at first that Felix Cash deliberately hit Jason Welborn low. Now, I'm not saying that was a pivotal moment in the fight, and if it hadn't happened, Jason Welborn would have won. Not at all. Felix Cash was going to win this fight regardless, okay? But it's just something to watch, I think, moving forward. If Felix Cash is in trouble in the future, will he be one of those guys to start resorting to foul tactics, Mike Tyson style? Hopefully not that extreme, but, Mike Tyson, Andrew Gallotta style, start doing foul tactics. We'll have to watch that, okay? But aside from those low blows, after he had the point deducted, he wasn't deterred from going to the body because he was obviously confident that he could stop Jason Welborn. And he continued to go to the body. For the majority of this fight, Felix Cash was kind of in cruise control. He was fighting within himself. he was controlling Jason Welborn and breaking him down methodically, he didn't look spectacular. But when he opened up on Jason Welborn in that 5th round, he looked impressive. The hand speed, the viciousness of the body shots, the way he was going up and down, head and body, hitting Jason Welborn with both hands, nice accuracy and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he looked quite impressive once he stepped it up a gear and really opened up. And it was too much for Jason Welborn. He was down, I believe, twice in the fight, and his corner threw in the towel after the second knockdown. So I thought overall it was a very good performance by Felix Cash. On paper, supposed to be the biggest step up of his career, but turned out to be easier than his previous fight against Jack Cullen. So good performance by Felix Cash. Now, as far as where he goes from here, he's currently 13-0 with 9 KOs. He's 27 years of age. Eddie Hearn's talking about putting him in against the European champion. That's the route Eddie Hearn is looking to take him. As far as I'm aware, Liam Williams is still the British middleweight champion, right? Johnny Nelson is a presenter for Sky. Felix Cash is a Sky man. But Johnny Nelson said that Felix Cash should stay away from Liam Williams because Liam Williams is a beast. Bear in mind, Liam Williams is over with Frank Warren on BT. And I agree. I don't think that Felix Cash is ready for Liam Williams right now. I think Liam Williams is probably peaking and he looks very, very dangerous. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, Liam Williams, I believe, is still the British middleweight champion. Shouldn't he really be relinquishing that belt and fighting for world honors? I know he's like mandatory for one of the belts, isn't he, Liam Williams? Is it Andrade he's mandatory for? So if he's mandatory for that and that fight's going to happen next, why has he still got the British middleweight title? If he's allowed to, I mean, I've got no issue with it. But generally speaking, when fighters are going to step up and challenge for world honors, they relinquish their domestic silverware, right? Or the domestic hardware, however you want to call it. So, yeah, I agree with Johnny Nelson. Felix Cash is not ready for Liam Williams, in my opinion. That would be a step up too far and a step up too soon for him. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did you think that Felix Cash was hurt in that first round against Jason Welborn? And look, Welborn is not a devastating puncher, but he's got some degree of power there. And because he's quite erratic and his attacks can be a little unexpected, he can catch you off guard or maybe catch you cold and stun you or buzz you, right? It's not necessarily indicative of Felix Cash having chin issues. But then again, maybe it is. We don't know. The jury is still out on Felix Cash's chin. That's a box that he has yet to tick. Now, one of the things I've noticed about Felix Cash, which is fairly unusual, is that he likes to wear winning fight gloves. Now, winning is obviously a big brand in boxing, but primarily for their training equipment, for sparring gloves, headgear, groin guards, etc. That is where they do the majority of their business, at least outside of Japan and Asia. In the Western countries and throughout most of the world, winning fight gloves are not really that popular. And the reason being because they're very protective and they're not just protective of a fighter's hands, but also protective of the opponent to some degree. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of professionals don't like winning fight gloves. They prefer, Grants or Everlast or Rivals, which are more damaging gloves, whereas winning more protective for the fighter himself and the opponent. Felix Cash wears winning gloves, and he has done, to my recollection, for all of his fights. So is there an issue with Felix Cash's hands? Is he brittle, when it comes to his hands? I know he had some injuries earlier on in his career. I'm not sure I can't remember what the nature of those injuries were, but perhaps they were hand injuries. I don't know. It's just interesting that he's chosen to wear winning fight gloves for all of his fights so far. The only other fighter I can think of that wore winning fight gloves in the UK was Chris Eubank Jr. I think he still likes to wear winning fight gloves again because of hand issues. Mayweather, of course, wore winning fight gloves many, many years ago, and that was directly because of hand issues. Since then, he moved on to Grant's because with Grant, he could customize the type of padding that he used inside the gloves. He started using Grant gloves with orthopedic padding inside, and he found those gave him the best protection without compromising the amount of damage he can inflict on his opponents. So he moved away from winning as well, right? So that's just another thing to watch with Felix Cash. Does he have hand issues? And will those winning gloves be able to protect those hands well enough in real tough fights? Because there's no doubt about it, he's going to be in much tougher fights than he was against Jack Cullen and then he was against Jason Welborn. So watch this space. Overall, an impressive performance by Felix Cash. Dispatched of Jason Welborn more comfortably than I anticipated, and he moves on to bigger and better things. So let me know where you think he should go and what you thought of his performance. It's happening. I'm out.